Welcome to this session about joining INTCAS, primarily via our Exploration Cloud. I am Cheryl Darrett-Boychuk of INTCAS, which stands for Intelligent Communities Around Students. I've been working in the international education field for about 20 years, mostly for USJournal.com, a family of multilingual sites all dedicated to recruiting students to the States. London-based INTCAS recently hired me to launch the US version of their very successful recruitment model. Now, the name INTCAS doesn't necessarily roll off the tongue, but it's easier to pronounce if you think about its component parts, intelligent communities around students. When you think about INTCAS, think intelligent and digital communities and students. INTCAS helps improve the efficiency and integrity of specific parts of the international admissions process. For the past 5 years, the UK team has been conducting research and figuring out how to apply the most robust technologies from different industries to build these intelligent digital communities to ultimately boost transparency and trust for all stakeholders. In a nutshell, we help education institutions attract, recruit, and manage international students from around the world in a safe, compliant, and cost-effective way. Here's an overview of our various components, which you can select according to what your campus needs. They cover marketing through our Exploration Cloud, as well as different functions within the admissions process. We like to think of them as Lego pieces, which can certainly stand alone, but may work better together. Because of the way INTCAS was originally structured, we're extremely well positioned to react promptly to market changes, ultimately improving the international admissions process for all stakeholders. One of the things we recognized early in our development was the importance of a long-term vision to advance global student mobility. The clouds here in white are under development in beta stage. We'll prioritize them according to market demands and roll them out over the next several months. The clouds shaded in blue are active. INTCAS is a very intelligent, student-centric platform. So let's start there. How would a qualified international student find your institution within the INTCAS ecosystem? The fact is, we use many different channels to promote student mobility around the world through our Exploration Cloud. The point here in this very brief webinar is to provide a few examples of how INTCAS is not afraid to challenge conventional wisdom. Because we've done the research and have decades of experience across our team to support our sophisticated, forward-thinking ecosystem that really considers the entire journey of an educational experience over time. So obviously, we pay attention to global trends. The rising middle class in many major markets is undeniable. Unfortunately, we're not doing so well in North America, but Asia, Middle East and Africa, and Latin America are poised for pretty incredible growth, as we see here, complements of OECD, of course, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. Here's another way to look at it from the perspective of consumer spending. And where would you say these new wealthy families are spending that money? Many are probably buying their own homes for the first time in their family's history, and they're also passionately committed to improving the lives even more so for their children. So families approach wealth managers to help guide them through these significant financial decisions. INTCAS connects with those wealth managers to encourage families to explore educational opportunities through our ecosystem. Another complementary way INTCAS targets qualified international students is through their preceding academic environment. Boarding schools around the world represent one of various sources of students within the INTCAS ecosystem. It's a very intelligent approach for many different reasons, as noted here by boardingschools.com. These students of all different nationalities and backgrounds are well prepared to advance in their educational journey. So here's another solid reason why we pay attention to the boarding school market, to feed those kinds of students into the INTCAS ecosystem. So we really focus our efforts on identifying the most intelligent, cost-effective way to help you recruit the students who will succeed at your institution. And of course, there's a place for other types of promotion, such as social media market, but that's not our primary focus. INTCAS develops intelligent digital communities around students. It's also important to note that students and parents can enter and explore the INTCAS ecosystem for free. What does that INTCAS ecosystem look like? We'll start with the student perspective, then take the institutional perspective. So my teenage son has joined INTCAS and set up his profile, which is very academically oriented rather than socially oriented. Of course, there are social elements of INTCAS. William can follow the international admissions counselors at the institutions that he's interested in. He can also connect safely with his parent in this platform that addresses his academic pursuits primarily and not necessarily his social pursuits. He can upload his education qualifications as well as any corresponding documents, all in a secure, robust environment. There's also an opportunity to upload work experience, which is not extensive for a teenager, but the point is that he's building a profile that will last a lifetime. William is able to explore his academic options any number of different ways, such as according to institution type or course type. He'd like to study business full-time with tuition around £16,000 or $20,000 US. He can compare different courses side by side and organize his college search process all in one place. Of course, he can click in to get more details and ultimately follow any institutions he'd like. Let's say William is particularly interested in the accountancy program at St. Peter's and John University in Oxfordshire. So he adds that to his application basket specifically for the start date of September 2018. During the application process, the student can choose if they want any additional INTCAS services, such as immigration support. As the student works his way through his master application form, data that he's already uploaded into the INTCAS ecosystem will populate into the appropriate fields. So here you'll see William's educational experience. The model is somewhat similar to the common application in that students can complete a single application form and submit it to multiple institutions within one platform. Some colleagues initially feel threatened by that, but we all know it's an uber competitive market. INTCAS's focus is on serving the student, and we have no problem helping him find the institution that works best for him. The master application form is powered by generally accepted principles which mirror about 80% of the common questions asked by most institutions. The remaining 20% or so of the information is structured through our intelligence system, which includes questions that are more course as well as institution specific depending on where the student applies. The master application form ensures that the applicant meets minimum requirements for that particular institution based on what the institution provided us in their profile. So we also ask high-level questions about finances, accommodation preferences, personal ambitions, and other details. INTCAS's application system also shares the student's ranking of preferred institutions with those institutions to boost transparency in the process. So from the student's perspective, he's able to manage all of his applications in one place, INTCAS's application cloud. Now as we transition from the student perspective to the institutional perspective, I'll flash our little logo again. INTCAS is intelligent communities around students. Now from the eyes of the institution, when you log in, as Jane Doe, for example, you get your own showcase so the students and parents and wealth managers and boarding schools can get to know you. And of course, you get to manage your own institutional showcase with really as much information as you'd like. You'll have a capacity for 20 different categories there, but we found that 8 usually suffice for each educational institution. Of course, you'll be most interested in managing your applications. Here's the new one that William just completed. Of course, all of the application data is fed over to the institutional portal. I won't go into too much detail here, but you can track the progress of the applications all the way from initial application to admission, invoicing, immigration, pre-departure, and enrollment. So if, for example, your institution decides to take advantage of our due diligence cloud, then you can head over to that tab to review the results of our algorithms that review about 9 billion source records. INTCAS features a serious application platform. We're ISO 27001 compliant, which means we abide by global standards to keep information assets secure. INTCAS is a regulated entity as an appointed representative of Bryce Amory Capital, who's regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority. That's the government institution which oversees all affairs across the financial services sector. INTCAS is a cloud-based system, so there's no complicated software to install on your campus. The data is securely held within that ecosystem, but accessible with appropriate credentials from any device. If you'd like to download any of the data to your local platform, we can accommodate those requests in any of three ways: CSV, FTP, which means File Transfer Protocol, or via special projects where we develop an interface between your system and ours. Of course, contact me for details on that. INTCAS is designed to improve the efficiency and the integrity of the entire admissions process from a variety of different stakeholders, primarily the student and the admissions office. We've seen the positive impact it can have in the UK in terms of streamlining the process. I'd say in order for INTCAS to prove itself to the US market, we'll focus on this exploration cloud. My colleagues rightfully anticipate a challenging few months in terms of recruiting qualified students. There's no doubt we'll need to work harder and smarter in this new political environment. Now, as we transition to our pricing charter, I'll flash our little logo again. We're INTCAS, Intelligent Communities Around Students. Our pricing model is somewhat similar to PayPal, where we clip a small fee from each function to keep costs very reasonable for the institutions who can pick and choose the services they need. At INTCAS, we understand that the requirements of each institution are unique. Our options can be customized accordingly. Option 1, access the full INTCAS ecosystem, including the entire range of products and support centers. Your first step is to join the institution community, which entitles the institution to get one free master license. Each user within the institution wishing to gain access to the ecosystem will require a license, as we'll discuss. Step 2 is to set up your institution's showcase. We'll work with you to upload appropriate content, as we really encourage you to be as comprehensive as possible, so students looking for your specific academic programs or other unique attributes can find you easily. Step 3 is what differentiates option 1 from option 2. Here you take full advantage of our Exploration Cloud to attract and recruit qualified students from around the world. Step 4 follows logically to recruit and manage those students using our active products that I showed you in these cogs, as well as our support centers, which include market support, technology support, fund verification, and immigration support. Step 5 is when you enroll students through our streamlined process and pay a successful placement fee of $200 per student. Each user needs a license to access the INTCAS ecosystem, and we give one master license to each institution that requests one. Additional users within an institution wishing to access INTCAS must purchase a license for a very reasonable $160 per year. There's one access point per user, which allows us to track which portals have been accessed, resulting in a digital paper trail. Of course, we're dealing with sensitive data. Some offices have relatively high turnover, so when that colleague leaves, you want to make sure that access to the data doesn't leave with him or her. Of course, you can change email addresses and passwords at any time as well. The license enables access to INTCAS's core products. For our purposes here, the most relevant ones are the Exploration Cloud and our Admission Cloud, as we've described. Pretty straightforward and reasonable licensing structure. The second component in our pricing charter involves our products and support centers, which are more labor-intensive, and therefore we charge reasonable rates based on usage. Again, we have a whole slew of options. In our case, these three are the most relevant: Verification Cloud, Due Diligence, which is often used in conjunction with our Escrow Cloud. So here's another way to present the same information. Option 1 allows full access to all of INTCAS's products and support centers, which includes our marketing and recruiting services. You pay for what you use, and then upon successful enrollment of a student, we charge you a placement fee of $200. We get our core products and support centers for free: exploration, application, admission, escrow clouds, as well as our market support, technology support, and fund verification support centers for free. We have a lot to learn from our British colleagues. For example, UK universities and colleges may lose their Tier 4 license to recruit internationally if more than 10% of the overseas students they recruit are refused visas. So it's in the best interest of the university to make sure those visa applications are as robust as possible and not sloppy. So we offer an admission health check, which provides a broad overview assessing the credibility of the student. Mock interviews can also be very helpful in guiding the student to understand the nature of the process. And visa application guidance is more in-depth, where our team will identify areas of improvement. So our immigration support centers and our other support centers complement these clouds and can ultimately feed that data into appropriate slots within the INTCAS ecosystem. Again, we've developed an array of services which facilitate the process of seamlessly connecting the right student to the right institution. So ultimately, you'll see that the INTCAS model facilitates a very reasonable cost per student acquisition. We pay attention to your return on investment. So for next steps, think about your goals in terms of using just a few of our products and services to boost operational efficiency, or if you want to use INTCAS as more of a marketing tool as well. I think option 1 makes sense for most U.S. institutions, so you can access all of the different communities as they continue to grow around the world. That's our boarding schools, our wealth managers, for example. Can't resist another logo splash. We are INTCAS, Intelligent Communities Around Students. So I hope you've learned more about joining INTCAS through our Exploration Cloud. Of course, reach out to me with any questions. Our deadlines are rolling, but we look forward to working with you sooner rather than later so we can upload your full showcase in time for this upcoming enrollment cycle, which is fast approaching. We'll participate in a number of in-person events throughout the year where we can demo our ecosystem live. Thanks again for joining us, and I hope to hear from you soon.